Hey, thanks so much for downloading the episode on the show today. Paula and I discuss the end of the Big Bang Theory series. We talk about a dead cat and washing our bodies in the shower with a little input from producer Dub. This, plus our ugly and awkward moments of the week, and a whole lot more. Shoplifandclip.com. Thank you so much. Enjoy the show.
It's another uncensored look at the world around you, from sisters who will say just about anything to anyone at any time. It's the Uggs. Jamie?
Well, obviously my ring isn't big enough.
Paula?
I'm such a bitch, though. I am such a bitch.
Uncensored as always, it's time for the ugly truth.
Welcome to the Ugly Truth. It is episode 372.
Sorry. A wee bit flat.
That's all right.
We are Sisters Who podcast.
Yes, we are. Okay, so right before we started recording, you had mentioned it snidely, and I wanted to chime in on that.
Breaking news, everyone.
Grumpy Cat died. I know. It's horrible. It's horrific. With all of the minor issues and all the uproars going on in the United States, this is the thing that's just breaking the hearts of all.
The world has officially gone mad.
Grumpy Cat has deceased because it's a cat and they don't live very long.
How old was it? Do you know?
20, I think.
Jesus Christ, that's old for a cat.
Was it 20? You know what? Honestly,
Hold on,
yesterday.
I'm going to look at now.
Yesterday.
Inquiring minds want to know.
I read an article about a cat named Humphrey or something who lived in a cemetery in the UK. And Barney. And he, basically his family lived next door to the cemetery. They moved away and the cat kept coming back to the cemetery. And he had a penchant for approaching mourners when they were at graveside and loving on them. He was like super duper empathetic to humans who were crying. Ultimately, he ended up living at the cemetery, and the cemetery people created a little home for him. So he had a little house, and they spoiled him to death. People who had experienced his love during a funeral would bring him Christmas presents and all kinds of stuff. Well, he finally died, and he was 20, which is old for a cat who lives outdoors. And he was, he has his own little grave now, and they have a little plaque where to honor him. And the whole town was devastated.
They wept.
Because because it was such a small town, most people had experienced a funeral there and had experienced Barney's love. And so the whole town was just very, very sad about it. And I'm like, I would be too. That would be a sad thing.
You know what? Why are we more sad when animals die than people?
Because people are assholes. I know. Cats and dogs don't give a crap if you're ugly or if you're an asshole at work or if you're a victim. They don't care. They're just like, yeah, it's nice to see you. You feed me. I love you. That's it.
Okay, so a little update on Grumpy Cat.
Yes.
He had just turned 7.
Oh, that's young.
His official name was Tartar Sauce.
All right.
He lived in Morristown, Arizona.
Okay.
His owner was Tabitha Bundenson.
Was she a senior citizen?
I don't really know, but
with a name like Tabitha, I'm going to say probably my age, because that means her parents named her after the bewitched daughter.
His species was Felis catus, whatever that is. And he became an internet meme star.
Yes.
But, I want to say he must have become a meme star like almost shortly after he was born, because...
Well, I remember when he became a sensation, he was tiny and angry. And that was kind of the whole point, was he was just this perfectly adorable little animal with this horrifically angry face.
Oh my God. Okay, so as of March 5th, 2019, Grumpy Cat had 8.3 million total followers on Facebook, 2.4 million followers on Instagram, and 1.5 million followers on Twitter.
So, we're pretty angry, Paula. What's the problem? What's the deal?
You know what it is we're just not visibly out there, Jamie. That's our problem.
Okay, you know what? We need a Tabitha. We need a Tabitha to market us.
You know, if you would just be willing to put your face out there,
Paula,
we'd probably be a lot more,
let me tell you something.
a lot more popular.
Glass House, you are never camera ready. If I were to say, turn on your video and let's post it on Facebook, you'd be like, hell no, I'm not.
If we had advance notice, I would do it. Like today, my hair is clean, and all I would have had to do is put on makeup.
Okay, fine. Then let's make that our goal, that we will start doing videos for YouTube. How about that?
We should.
All
I
right,
think we
fine.
should. I don't know
Great.
how we're going to do that.
We'll figure it out.
Like, can Daryl do like a split screen somehow, or
I'm sure there are ways to do it.
that'll have to be our goal to figure out how to do. And maybe we just do like one a month or something.
Yeah, and you know what? The comments are going to be, they're going to be like, does Paula do her podcast in bed?
So what?
You're the Hugh.
Fuck cares.
You're the Hugh Hefner of podcasting.
Maybe I'll start wearing. Yeah, I'll start wearing. Like
silk robes,
Is that what he wore? Silk robes,
Yes.
or what were those? Not veneers.
silk
What are
pajamas,
those,
and silk pajamas and robes. That
what was
he
everybody
wore.
wearing for a while? Those jumpsuits. Those
Oh,
not veneer.
rompers.
What is it?
What are you talking about?
What was the fabric color?
Oh, like a burgundy? What
No,
are you
not
talking-
color. The fabric.
It was satin.
No, the jumpsuits people were wearing a couple whiles ago.
Velour.
Velour. That's
He did.
what it was.
He did not wear velour. He only wore silk pajamas.
Okay, silk. That sounds slippery for an old man.
Especially when he had satin sheets. Can you even imagine?
God, you know what? Have you ever slept in satin sheets?
Yeah. Well, I've never actually slept in them because I'm sliding all over the place.
I
I'm
can't
very angry.
sleep in those. Yeah, who did I? Maybe
I get
both
very
husbands.
angry.
They liked the satin sheets, and I'm like,
Why?
why? I'm like, maybe it's because you're covered in body hair and you have like something to hang on to.
There's some
but
traction for you.
For the rest of us, I felt like a slippery fish, and they're uncomfortable.
I think one time I purchased, this was before my marriage, because this is a heads up. If you're trying to find a bunch of tricks and elixirs to keep the relationship alive, it's over. And I think back now and go, God, I tried so many things to try to keep things going in one of my relationships. I bought black silk sheets and I hated every minute of it. I couldn't wait to rip those things off.
And I think we put them on the bed, and I took them off the next day because I'm like, I am not sleeping on these things. I'm like, these are impractical. I'm like, this is just a one night thing. Nobody actually sleeps in these things.
This is a 35 to 45 minute thing, and then
It's
they're
like
off.
lingerie. It's on for 5 minutes, and then it ends up on the floor, crinkled somewhere. Nobody actually walks around in the house in those things.
I know there are people out there that love wearing lingerie. Women, I hate it. I hate it so much.
Some of the lingerie they're coming out with now is kind of cool looking. Like, I get a lot of ads for like these different lingerie sites. It's like Savage or
Okay.
Gothic something.
Jesus.
And it's kind of like, strappy and lacy and kind of cool looking. And so I'm just like, it's not the baby doll red cheap looking satin with like the lace and the strings and stuff like that. Like the cheap shit you get at Fredericks of Hollywood.
I get it. I get it. I don't like.
But that's all there used to be,
That is true. There was one big monopoly, and it was Fredericks. And then Victoria's Secret came around.
But even then, you'd had to pay $80 for like a baby doll thing. And I'm just like, I'm not doing that.
Well, that hasn't changed, but my point is that I've never, ever enjoyed purchasing lingerie because maybe, and I'm not really a frugal person, it seemed like an utter waste of money. And I think that's why I hate it.
Here's the thing. And I'll tell you this much because I've had a couple guys tell me this before. They like the idea of women keeping some of their clothes on while having sex. And so if there's lingerie out there that is still accessible, but you can keep it on, then it's like an extra turn on because it's that whole barrier, like I can't get to it, and
I guess.
like the taboo kind of thing. I don't know. You guys are weird. I don't know.
I mean, there's something for everyone, I should say, because I've always had people prefer nudity over anything else.
Like one time, okay, this is a funny story. One time I was on a date, like I had known this person. It wasn't just like a first time date. I went into the bathroom and I was wearing this successful denim skirt. This skirt's brought me quite a bit of luck, but I went in the bathroom and I took off my underwear, and then I came back out and I said, "Can you hold these for me for just a second?" And I had rolled them up in a ball and I handed them to him, and then he's just like kind of looked at them and then he put them in his pocket.
Okay. Whatever.
So
that's funny.
That was funny.
Anyway, so yes, Grumpy Cat has died. And
Grumpy
the only
Cat,
thing I can say, honestly, is, I mean, cats don't know, but I mean, that thing traveled everywhere and was on television and movies and all that. I think it was in a movie. Anyway, to me, it's like, I guess the cat wasn't being harmed in any way. It just seems like a lot of movement for an animal. Like, and 7 is really young for a cat to pass away, unless it had some kind of genetic condition, which is why its face looked like that.
Did you know it was a girl?
Okay, no, I didn't.
It says she was known for her permanently grumpy facial appearance, which was caused by an underbite and feline dwarfism.
Oh, it was a dwarf. Interesting.
So
Okay,
it was a unique cat.
So maybe its longevity was, maybe it lived a lot longer than it should have.
Well, and it said it died, which this will make sense to you. Not you personally, but I'm just saying because you've had an animal that had this problem.
Oh.
Grumpy Cat died at home following complications for a urinary tract infection.
Oh.
So I wonder if it had like that
crystallizations.
Because it was already like genetically off.
Maybe. Although
especially being a dwarf. I mean, maybe
it was very
have, like,
tiny.
The elongated, urinary tract.
Yeah, because that's actually unusual for female cats. Very unusual. But as they get older, and also if they're being fed a poor diet, that actually causes the crystallization. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I mean, I really hope Grumpy Cat had a really good life, because that cat brought a lot of money to its owner.
Yeah, it says as of August 2018, the Bundesens have not disclosed Grumpy Cat's brand's net worth, though online speculation estimates it's between $1 million to $100 million.
Holy shit!
For a fucking cat. A touched cat at that.
It was touched. All I hope is that the thing had a really pleasant life as it was being, petted by millions of filthy little hands and millions of photos and stuff like that. It's like I always question owners. I mean, it's one thing when you photograph and video your dog being a dog, but this kind of thing, to me, it starts feeling like, the sideshow. Yeah, like the sideshow. It's like, come see the dwarf cat. I
mean, I hope it was happy doing that.
Or something. I mean, although if it was kind of slow or whatever, it just feels a little manipulative. I know it's just an animal. People do shit with animals all the time that they shouldn't do. Barbara Streisand cloned her poodle.
That's weird.
I know. And then I read, here's another idiot. He had a cow that he really loved, it was like a pet, and the thing died, and so he cloned it, and the cow that came was an asshole. It tried to kill him. And I'm like, are you sure it wasn't the same? Maybe it hated you. You don't know.
You just can't mess with genes. I mean,
I know.
There's probably still things about them that we don't understand.
A lot. Humans are smart. Only some are really, really smart. And the rest of us have no business messing with genetics.
Even the Sheldon Coopers of the world didn't understand everything.
Paula, that ended last night, and I give 0 fucks if you hated The Big Bang Theory. It's just because you didn't get it. I don't care. I loved it. Daryl and I cried through that episode. We were so excited that it was closing, and we had been there since day one.
Yeah.
I loved it. And, there's a lot of people that really genuinely go out of their way to declare their hatred for the show, which I don't
know why.
I don't understand.
There's nothing really to hate about it.
Why can't people just enjoy things? Like, why can't people just like stuff?
I guess the thing is if you don't like it, then just don't like it.
Then just shut up about it.
Just don't say you hate something. I mean,
I saw something yesterday. Okay, this is exactly what I'm talking about. Somebody posted something about Game of Thrones. I too loved Game of Thrones, and I don't hate the season, by the way, which is so stupid.
What's this whole petition about writers and trying to remake season 8 and all that stuff?
When I see stuff like that, I go, we have officially run out of things to complain about. Okay, your life is not that bad if you are spending any amount of time petitioning HBO to rewrite a freaking phenomenon. Shut up. Oh my God, I'm so over it. It's like, this is what you have time to bitch about? Well, congratulations on having no problems in your life. I mean, for real.
Really. Have you looked at what's going on in the world recently?
That passion could be misdirected to something else. That's all I'm saying.
My God, I'm not even saying take on the big stuff. Let's just talk about the blue whales, washing up on the San Francisco Bay.
I know. So anyway.
Start with something small.
Someone said yesterday, they go, I've never seen one episode of Game of Thrones. I hate that show. And I'm like,
how can you hate it if you've never seen it?
I'm like, well, thanks for your fucking useless point. Thank you. What is this? What is this other than you just want to be an asshole for everyone who happens to like it?
I only watched the sex scenes on a porn website because I heard they were pretty epic. And then that's when I realized Jason Momoa had been on it. And I'm just like, holy crap, when did I miss that part?
Oh, yeah, that was the first or second season. Yeah.
Man, he was hot.
Oh, Paula. He that's why he got Aquaman.
You know, the way he manhandled that white-haired girl? Dang.
Daenerys. Yes. Anyway, back to Big Bang Theory. Daryl and I watched it. And, and I told Daryl, I said, there's a couple of things. First of all, everybody was upset about the fact that Penny was pregnant.
I predicted that weeks
Everyone,
ago.
We knew she'd be pregnant. Here's the thing. If you listen to the theme song of the Big Bang Theory, it's all about how everything just started with a big bang. And then we slowly, we started learning how to make tools. And then we built homes and, we built the pyramids. And it goes on and how we slowly evolved into better people. So if you look at the show from season 1 to the final season, it's about these people evolving into a better version of themselves. It's all about evolution and not science evolution, just the evolution of a person where you start off aloof, awkward, or you're this really raw version of yourself. And as you age and get older and experience things, you become a better version. And Sheldon, whether anybody wants to agree or disagree, he was the star of the show, and it was really about Sheldon's journey from being this guy who was clearly on the spectrum, had no social skills, had no ability to interact with the public, but he was brilliant, going all the way to and I assume you watched it last night.
Yes, we did.
And so the final episode where he's standing on the biggest stage of the world in the science community, now acknowledging that, he had some kind of epiphany, saying, obviously, I have not been a good friend all this time. I had no idea. I'm just now realizing it. It was his final evolution into the future.
And he's only the way he is because of the people around him.
Right. And so to me, it's like, Penny becoming pregnant, she hated commitment. She didn't want to get married. She didn't want to live together. Then they did all of those things. She didn't want to get pregnant. And then she got pregnant. She's like, okay, well, I'm evolving into the person that I'm choosing to be. And everybody was like...
And she was happy about it,
She was very happy about it. Actually, my favorite part was when she was throwing up the fish. And he's like, how long do you think it'll be ready? She's like, I don't know, 5 or 10 minutes. He goes, oh, really? She's like, no, are you serious? It's like, I'm puking my face off right now.
Well, then I was thinking, I'm like, you're not supposed to eat fish when you're pregnant,
I thought that immediately.
I'm like, too much mercury.
You can't eat that stuff. But she wasn't.
Whatever. And and him being a scientist, he should have known that.
Oh, you know what? No one's perfect. Plus, you can't stop a woman when she has a craving.
That is true.
There's nothing you can do. I ate so many nectarines once. I was making myself sick, and I was laying on the couch, and I thought I was going to throw up, and yet ate another nectarine.
I ate so many strawberries, I gave myself diarrhea.
I was so sick. I'm like, why can't I? And I remember laying there with my eyes closed, almost crying, and shoving another wedge of nectarine in my mouth. I'm like, why can't I stop eating these? Oh.
I came back from the grocery store. I had bought like $50 worth of fruit.
Oh my God.
Most of it rotted because obviously I couldn't eat it all, but because fruit doesn't last that long.
No.
But Victor's just like, what is all this? And I'm just like, it's just fruit. I'm like, it looks so good.
Yeah.
So he's just like, okay.
Yeah. I saw a little a frame of them in Sweden before the show aired with all this food on. I'm like, oh, she's totally pregnant. I mean, obviously. Anyway, it was a great show. And I know people love to hate it, and I don't know why.
That makes sense now why it shows them all at the end and they're playing the theme song, but very slowly.
Oh, my God. Wasn't that sweet? So you could hear the words.
Right.
Yes.
So it makes sense that you can, understand what it was saying.
Yeah. When Penny and Sheldon and Leonard met, It was like a big bang explosion. This whole new world's opening up. Then their evolution towards becoming better people. There is no end. That's the whole thing that's so great about it, is everybody continues to grow as they age and learn new things. And, you know, her saying, you know, the only thing you can really rely on is things change.
I know. Ryan, when he heard that, he's just like, oh my God.
It's so profound.
He's just like, I've never heard that before. He's like, but it's so true.
Aw.
It's a big moment in your life.
It is. And how sweet that you were there to witness that.
Yes.
Now, did you guys watch Young Sheldon?
We have not yet, no.
Oh, it's so good. There's a video at the end. Well, first of all, I'm watching it, and obviously they coordinated these two season endings because they're affiliated.
Is Young Sheldon ending, or
No.
is it...
It was just the season finale. They renewed it. Thank goodness. We really enjoy it, but that's because we know the history of the character. So for us, it's really cool to watch when they refer to things that we've heard about on the show on Big Bang Theory. But he's listening to the announcements for the physics Nobel Prizes. He's 9.
Oh, okay.
And he invited the whole school to come and listen with him in his garage because he's 9 and he goes to high school. But the announcements start at 4 a.m. So he buys boxes and boxes of Cheerios thinking everybody will come, and no one shows up, obviously.
Aww.
And he starts crying because he's alone.
Aww.
But then they transition. They show all the other, like Penny and Leonard when they're little kids. It's this whole video of them when they're little, and then they're singing the song by the Supremes, "Someday We'll Be Together."
Aww.
I lost it. I was like, this is so amazing. It was such a fangirl moment. It was awesome. It was so cute.
Funny is, in their real lives, you know, they all did kind of grow up together in essence, because, you know, Johnny Galecki is having a baby.
I know.
Kaylee
Isn't that
Cuoco,
sweet?
well, she's been married, divorced, and married again.
Well, she's married. I think she's married to the real deal now because she and
so.
Yeah,
well, he's way into horse. He's a horse equine or whatever,
rider,
like, owner or something.
Well, he rides too, and so does she.
Yeah,
that's how they met. But they're like I believe he's a billionaire. His family, and then
that doesn't suck.
No, and they do a ton of philanthropic work, tons. And I think that may be where she ends up going. She doesn't have to work a day in her life, so she gets to do what she wants to do, which I think is cool. I'm glad you liked the show too. I really enjoyed it. So anyway, okay.
So
what?
Oh, I was just going to say, so I know you had been redecorating, and I knew at some point you were going to have to address the wall.
The chalkboard.
That has the the worst fight ever, the chalkboard wall.
So we're redoing the dining room. It's basically done. All the little final touches, like art or, you know, some curtains that we're looking at, you know, that stuff isn't done yet, but the walls are done. The baseboards are redone. We got the new chandelier up, and it's beautiful, by the way. And it's all crystals. It's so pretty. And then
nice.
I'm actually going to post a picture so you can see the chalkboard, so everybody can know what we're talking about. But the chalkboard, I recoated it so it's nice and dark black, and I took the frame off because obviously it was terrible. And the problem is that we walk on eggshells whenever the chalkboard comes up. So we had to go buy a border for it to create the frame.
Right.
So we went, and it took us 3 visits before we could actually, finally decide on the border. And Daryl has no opinion. He's like, I have nothing to say about this. You pick whatever you want, and
why does he even go? You should just go by yourself.
Because they're like 8 feet long. I don't what am I supposed to do? Carry them around?
Is it like baseboard trim?
Yes.
Okay.
That's how you get that look, because there is no frame that's big enough for that. So
yeah, you know what? I think you're right. That's what I had to do.
Yes. So we buy the board, we buy the trim, and then I pick out a really pretty champagne gold spray paint. And we go home, and, we bought that miter saw. So it takes him a really super long time because he's not going to mess this up. And so once they're cut, I painted them, and it turned out flawless. It was beautiful. And so it's time to hang it. And there's a lot of the thickness of stress is everywhere. And so he's like, okay, he's like sweating. I mean, he's so nervous about doing this.
Did you hang it in pieces or did you put it together first?
No, we hung it in pieces so that it would be perfect. I thought about it too. I thought, what if we put it together first and then hang it up? But
that's what I would have done.
But he wanted it perfectly aligned, and so this is the way we were doing it. And I'm like, that's fine, because I can't do it by myself, so whatever. So we hang up one piece at a time. He's like, okay, now move, and he's having me maneuver everywhere. And I'm like, I mean, we're getting into tedious territory at this point. I mean, I'm all about perfection, so I get it, but you know,
I would have left.
I couldn't. I was holding up this 9-foot piece of wood.
Was Tyler home?
No, it was during the day, and so
okay.
So
because I would have been like, somebody else come help him. I'm leaving.
So I'm holding it, and I did like the slightest sigh, just like the most minimal benign sigh.
Are you not allowed to make noises? Is that what it is?
No, it was nothing like that. But all of a sudden he goes, he stops, and he's like, he's desperate. And he's like, please. He's like, I'm under a lot of pressure. I have to have this perfect. And
I'm like, I'm sorry for breathing. Jesus.
And I said, it's fine. I'm like, fine. So finally, my part is done. I leave. And so, but I have to return because if it's not perfect, he's changing it. So there was one time where I'm like, well, there's a little bit of a gap here, but I mean, you can't see anything. And with filler and everything, it'll be fine. I mean, it's so tiny. And he said, I will rip this thing out and start over if you want me to. He's like, I will do whatever. And I said, no, it's fine. You can't even tell unless you're inspecting it super up close. I said, I can't expect perfection. This is not being manufactured. This is a hand-built thing. So it's not going to be perfect, but it's going to be perfect enough for me. Wait till you see the photo. That thing looks manufactured.
Good.
It's perfect. And so it was such a relief to him that I was pleased that I think he slept better that night than any nights he's ever slept in his life.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, he was so happy. Here, I'll show you.
So did you guys paint the paint on there before you put it on there?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
I sent you the picture so you can see it.
Oh, okay. Here it is.
Yes.
Wow. Oh, it's way bigger.
Yes.
Look at that. Look. Oh, everything looks so good.
I know. Thank you.
Wow.
So
that room looks
pleased.
sparkling. Where are all the chairs?
Well, we were in the middle of hanging everything up, so we hadn't put all the chairs back yet. So.
I like it.
Thank you. I'm excited.
That is beautiful.
So anyway, yes, so the chalkboard era is over. The monstrosity is gone for good. All we have is our memories.
Have you let go of the anger or is it still there?
Well, it's better. I will always hold it over his head because that's what we do.
Right.
I will not be able to walk by and stare at it and look at him in haughty derision any longer. It is over. I'm sure it will come up and he'll be like, why are you saying, what do we do? Why would you say that? Look at the chalkboard now. It's gone. It's history. It's over. But I'll be like, look, I have my memories and I have a long memory. So
that's true.
But I won't hold it over his head now when I go in there and go, because I used to just be so angry every time I walked in there.
It was such an eyesore to you.
To me, it was, yes. So it's over. The nightmare has ended. Daryl is at peace, and I have let it go.
The Cold War is over.
I've let it go. Okay, so it was my birthday last week.
I know.
And I really appreciated your video of love. It was hilarious. Olivia was on fire. It was so funny.
I watched it again, and I'm like, what the fuck with the tongue, Olivia, and the ice cube. Enough.
Very cute. And so, and I loved how the dogs started to yell at each other. That was so funny. The whole thing.
They wanted to participate.
Very funny. Here's the problem. I don't care about birthdays, but I do care about getting older. And I know that the alternative is, I mean, big picture, it's better to age than to die. So, I mean, I get it, but I still don't like the fact that I'm getting older, just like a lot of people. And it's because I'm vain or whatever. Yeah. So I go through this depression every year for about 2 weeks. I try not to, but it is what it is. I can't help it. I just can't help it. So my birthday is here. I get my coffee and Daryl's acting like it's no big deal. And then I start giving me crap. I'm like, what? So no flowers, no gift, no Rolex? What's the deal? And he's like, you can't do this to me. You do this to me every year. And I'm like, if I do it to you every year, then you know to get me flowers and a gift. I don't know why this is so hard for you. And so,
what is it with the men in our lives and our goddamn birthdays?
So I go downstairs and he had gotten me a present.
Okay, but that's not flowers.
No, I got flowers. I got them early.
Yeah, like 3 days before.
Right.
I mean, come on.
So, but it's fine because there was a lot of flowers. It was a lot. So I go downstairs. I did get a present. I got new sunglasses from Versace, and they're beautiful, and I love them. And I absolutely love them. So,
well, that's good.
I said, all right, I guess we can go do something. And he goes, all right. So we went up to Camino, and we had a wine order there. So we picked up our wine and did some tasting, and it was really nice, but it was rainy and freezing,
Yeah.
So we couldn't really we couldn't drink there. We had to like do our tasting and leave because there's nowhere, you have to stand around. There's no tables available because they're all outside.
You guys were really close to where the elevation was dropping down for snow.
Exactly. So we went back, and of course we missed the snow by like 3 hours, which is good.
Yeah.
Because I'm not a fan of driving in it if at all possible.
I mean, it's fun, but then you just get stuck in traffic. And,
yeah.
Yeah,
so we were very good and we missed it. So we decided to stop and get some food because we hadn't eaten all day and it was like 2:00. So we go in and it's all like rock and roll and Johnny Cash, and they have a bunch of beer on tap, like local craft beers and stuff. And so like, oh, sit down. So we sit down and we get our waitress, and she is hardcore flirting with Daryl.
Oh, God.
And I'm just like, just what I need on the day that I'm getting older and I already feel like a gross hag. Now we've got this bitch flirting with my husband in front of me. And like she winked at him and she like touched his shoulder and stuff. And Daryl, because he's a man, is like not fully recognizing, because he's not like our father who recognizes when any woman throws any attention their way. But he is smiling very hard. And
Daryl
so,
is? Jamie.
So,
I mean, how long has he been at this game? I mean, I know your husband is like madly in love with you and loyal and everything like that, but he's not a moron.
No, he's not. At the end, she said, so will this be separate checks?
What?
Yeah. And so I turned to him and I said, well, obviously my ring isn't big enough.
I would think so.
And he's like, obviously. And I'm like, why does this happen? This is the second time this has happened where we go out and the waitress is a whore. And I'm like over it. I'm like, what is this? I'm like, do we not look like a couple? Like, am I just so gross that we couldn't possibly be together? Like, what is the deal? And of course,
why don't you just turn and look at her and say, now, why would you say that?
I was going to, but I said the ring thing instead.
I would just say, what about our situation makes you think that we need separate checks? I'm just curious.
Oh, God.
You know what I've been doing a lot lately? This is stupid. But I'm just so annoyed with the earth that when we're in parking lots and we're trying to cross over like the main street, like the main thoroughfare or whatever to get into the building, and when cars won't let you cross, they just drive in front of you. Ugh. I stick my hand out way out and I'm like, after you! And I say it really loud.
It's true.
Most of the time they don't look at me, and they're always driving like a super nice car.
Right.
But everyone kind of thinks it's funny, like our surrounding.
Any other day, I would have been way more fierce about it, but I already felt like melted ice cream. I didn't mean this, right? So of course I
would have gotten up and walked out.
I couldn't let it go. I mean, I probably harped on this for a good 12 hours, because I'm trying to figure it out. I'm like, why does this happen? Like, it's so disrespectful, first of all.
I would have gotten her name and I would have called and spoken to the manager, or I would have sent an email or something like that.
Actually,
and described how inappropriate her behavior was, and then said what she said at the end, and say, I was there on my birthday and I was so horribly offended by her behavior, and that the fact she had the audacity to ask me and my husband if we wanted separate checks.
Well, and I sounded like I looked like I wasn't wearing pajamas or anything. I mean,
no, but I
was totally done. I mean, I had everything going, but
I would have said, I don't know how you train your employees, but
yeah,
clearly she is either not cut out for waitressing, or she needs retraining, or she just needs to not have a job there. I will leave it up to you to correct the situation.
The wink, it wasn't at the table, because Daryl had walked up to say, oh, you know what, she would actually like a beer. So we ordered a beer from the bar and she was there. So it's like, it was this, and I I saw the wink and I got a little red flag, but I didn't think anything of it because waitresses will do anything to get tips. I mean, not in a bad way, but I mean, when you're trying to get a good gratuity, you get friendly. Now, I don't know if she just went overboard or if she was truly making, I mean, it's not like she offered her phone number or anything. I would have killed her, but it was still very awkward. And I
would have been like, aren't you going to wink at me, sweetheart?
Anyway.
I'm such a bitch, though. I know. Such a bitch.
Well, it's just, it wasn't, first of all, I have to decide if it's worth it.
It's always worth it. Always.
I do not go nuclear very often, and so it has to be really worth it. Now, the separate checks thing, that was to the point where if it had gone anything else, and Daryl looked at me, he's like, no. You know, I mean, he's like, what are you talking about? Like, it wasn't like he was just standing there like an idiot going, oh, that's really sweet. No, he's like, no. And I'm like, well, I guess my ring's not big enough. And I showed my ring to him. And so, you know, that pretty much cut everything off. I mean, it was over after that. But still, it's like, it wasn't one of those situations where I felt like I could go full ugh. It just wasn't. I don't know what that is, though. Like, is this a new tactic with servers? I'm not really sure.
I have no idea.
But I find it offensive beyond.
Well, it's that whole situation was horrible.
Not to mention, and not that it really matters, but she was really, really ugly. Like, she had, like, Frankenstein hair. She was pale with no makeup. I mean, really not attractive.
So what? You know,
I know.
Guys, if they think that she's putting it out there, they'll just check it off a list. Like, you know,
ugly sex. All right.
Screwed an ugly chick. Maybe she'll be willing to put a bag on her head.
So anyway, but I was vulnerable. It was not the day. Any other day, I would have probably like gone off on her ass. But I just was very like, you know, well, maybe you don't know, but I just was feeling very self-conscious.
You know what? I'm in a constant state of provoke. So
that's true. You are. So it was just one of those things. And I'm like, could it possibly be that she thought I was just so attractive she couldn't possibly fathom that I would be with you? And Daryl's like, well, that's probably more accurate. And I'm like, you're such a fucking liar. That isn't true at all. And you know it.
Why are you so mean to him?
What? You're the one that was complaining earlier about him not having flowers.
Well, I mean, that's different. I wouldn't sit there and insult his, you know, looks.
Hey, I had enough.
God.
Anyway, it was a fun birthday after that.
Sounds like it.
Yay for birthdays.
Okay, so let me ask you a question.
All right.
Do you wash your legs in the shower?
Of course I do. And then I saw another one a couple of days ago, and it was on social media saying, do you wash your feet in the shower? I'm like, okay, first of all, how can we ever even not?
Okay, I do, but it's tricky because...
Why?
Well, when you go to put your leg down or your foot down, it's slippery. So and it's hard to balance on one leg, period. So, I mean, yes, I do it, but it makes me nervous.
Well, then get adhesive ducts on your tub.
I don't know what I have to do, but
or get they have like mats. The girls have mats on the tub bottom so they don't slip.
Well, my shower is really small. It's like your shower.
Okay,
it's a single.
I absolutely wash every part of my body every time I'm in the shower. I don't pick and choose. Too. This whole, do you wash below your knee? I'm like, well, of course. Why would you not? It is your body. We exude oils. We get dirty. You think that below the knee, it just doesn't happen? Your legs just don't get dirty?
Isn't it funny, though, okay, so this was the rationalization I made when I was talking to my friend about it. I said, okay, of course I have a loofah. I wash all of my body.
Yeah.
And I said, now, the days that I shave my legs, I may not wash my legs because I feel like I've already shaved a layer of skin off, which might be better than washing. Plus, I've used shaving cream. And so that's kind of soapy already.
Yeah.
And I think washing it with soap might irritate my legs. So I don't wash my legs the days I shave with shaving cream.
Why is this even up for debate? Again, running out of problems to complain about. I don't. Why is anyone? Why? is this even
I think it's just because people like to know what other people do.
Because we don't have enough information?
And then I saw this lady on Twitter. She's like, I just found out my husband don't wash his legs. She's all, we got a divorce.
I don't even want to. You know what? I don't
ask Daryl.
No. All right, I will.
No, don't.
Why?
You know he's going to lie now and says he washes his legs.
You don't know that. If I ask him now.
He's going to edit the show.
Hold on a second. I'm going to ask him. I want to know. He better say yes.
Hello.
Do you wash your legs in the shower?
Yeah.
Like with soap?
Yes.
Okay. Do you use my loofah or do you use your hands?
No, I've seen this story, and I genuinely think that they get washed by osmosis because of all the soap that's flowing down, but I do actually scrub them, but just with my hands and soap. I do not use your pink loofah.
What about your leg hands?
Yes, sort of. I mean,
what?
You know.
You have to wash them every time.
Well, of course. I mean, I use soap in my hands. I don't scrub them every time.
All right. I'm just out. We were doing a survey.
As long as soap has touched
As
them,
long as soap and some kind of rub has occurred, they're clean.
Yes.
And
yes.
I assume under the balls, all that as well, right?
Gross.
Okay, just making sure. And the pits,
Okay.
all of that, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I wash my body every time. Now, granted, I'm lazy and I have 2-for-1.
That's not. I don't care about that. I don't care about that.
Shampoo/soap. but
Okay.
Yes,
All right.
every
Good.
time.
Producer Deb is clean, y'all. Okay. Thanks. Bye. There you go. Inquiring minds. You have more information than you ever needed to know. All right. So let's do our ugly and awkward moments of the week because we definitely have those.
As you know, Victor has his own room. And so I went in there to talk to him about something. And when I went in there, his room smelled really good. And I'm just like, wow, I'm like, your room smells really good. I'm like, did you just have like food or something in here? And he's just like, no. And I'm just like, are you sure? Because I'm like, it smells like delicious, like super yummy. And he's like, no. He's like, I didn't. And I'm like, oh, well, that's weird. And he's just like, he kind of looked at me and he was like, I know he was hesitating to say what he wanted to say. And he's just like, I just gave Honey some wet food.
Oh, no.
And I'm like,
So you thought the cat food smelled amazing?
so I started salivating over the cat food he had just given Honey.
Oh, my God.
Which was probably the kind that I had just bought her and when I screamed at the guy.
Oh, that's
in
right.
the store.
I remember that. The Sheba.
Oh my God. It was not Sheba after all, but because they didn't have it.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
I just felt like an idiot for carrying on about it.
Well, what is it? God damn it. It smells amazing. It's like, wet cat food?
He's like, it was the cat food. He's like, it had extra gravy on it, but you know.
Gross. Mine happened at the wine place. We went to pick up, and as I said, it was raining. And so I was not looking. When we were walking back to the car, I looked down for just a moment for because we were stepping down off of the stairs. There's a deck, and you walk down the stairs to get to the parking lot. So I stepped down. I looked down for a moment so, I don't fall on nothing. And right when I look up, the tree is really super heavy with water. So the branches are weighed way down. And so I slapped myself in the face with the tree branch. My whole face got wet because it was covered in leaves. It was the funniest thing ever. I was like, woo! And I'm like, my whole face, literally my face was wet. My hair was like I had gotten hit with a water balloon.
God, it's like getting slapped in the face with a penis.
Oh my God, it was so funny. And Daryl's like, are you okay? And I said, yes, just a little tree incident, apparently. I'm not looking where I'm going as usual, and this is what happens.
I don't know why things like that always happen to us.
So anyway, yeah, so that's that. Oh, and as far as the Big Bang Theory goes, one of the reasons why Daryl and I were so overly emotional about it, in a good way. I mean, I was happy with everything, but this show for the last 12 years and we've been watching it since the very first episode, is the only show that Daryl and I actually sit together and watch.
Aww.
Every week we've done it. And so Daryl is like genuinely depressed. He's like,
oh, because you guys don't have a show now.
that's right. Our quote unquote show is over. And he's like, honey, we've been watching this show for more than half not more than half, but over 12 years. And we've only been married 22. So that's a long.
So you started it when you guys had been married for 10 years.
Yeah. Yes. And so he's really like, distraught's not the word, but he's just like, I can't believe it's over, because it's such a lot, but it was such a big part of our ritual, our weekly ritual as a couple. We would settle in and watch it. And so I said, it's okay. I mean, we'll find something else. In fact, he said that and I'm like, oh, Dean, it's okay. And he's like, who's Dean? And I said, oh my God, Overboard. He's like, oh yeah. He finally got it. So I'm sure another one will happen somewhere along the line, but we just really, I think for him, I think that's really what this was about mostly, not necessarily just the show. I mean, we both loved it, but I think it was more about the appointment television that we spent together watching. So, all right. Well, I think we need to wrap it up.
Yeah, so that's a wrap. Memorial Day is coming up. So if you want to order some fun Memorial Day things or a t-shirt or whatnot, please go to Amazon.com. You can reach our particular Amazon link through uglytruth.com. Click on the Amazon button and we will get some of the proceeds of your purchases. And so we appreciate you supporting our show. Please visit lipandclip.com to get some fun makeup. They have great red lipsticks if you want to feel festive for Memorial Day. I think they even have self-tanners, like lotions and things, if you are like Jamie and terrified of getting skin cancer. So please visit both sites. Keep tuning in, and we'll see you on Wednesday.